Welcome to the Red Half of Sheffield preview pod. Once again, I'm at it again, yours truly, as always. Uh, now I am previewing our upcoming lunchtime kickoff next Saturday against Everton, and I am joined from the Unholy Trinity Everton podcast. Boy, that's a mouthful. I'm joined by Mike. Mike, how are you doing this Sunday afternoon?
Not too bad considering obviously what I've witnessed in the last 3 weeks, but yeah, not too bad at all.
Yeah, we're similar. We're in the same boat, both on 0 points, but we love to ship goals. So I'll get right into it. Thoughts on your 1-0 loss yesterday against Wolves?
Um, Better side, very similar story to what we had against Fulham in the first week of the Premier League season. Everton had the better chances, probably not quite as in control as we were against Fulham. However, Wolves had 2 shots on target, and the first one was the goal. So it says it all, really.
Mhm.
We weren't really, bar once where there was a little bit of a defensive mix-up between Tarkowski and Pickford. That was the only time, really, we were threatened. However, as we probably found out on Saturday against yourselves, there seems to be a bit of a disconnect at the moment in terms of our midfield and our defence. And, runners get through too easily. And that was what we saw again yesterday at times where the game, when it was opening up a little bit, we struggled in that sense. But it was frustrating to come away yet again and leave Goodison Park without anything to show for the performance, given the fact that I think after 3 games this season, we should be on 6 points, and instead we're on 0.
Yeah.
But it's fine margins. If your players can't put the ball in the back of the net, then this is what happens. But every time a goalkeeper comes to Goodison Park, they tend to have the best game of the season, and that's what's happened in those first two home games this season.
Yeah, it's we're in a similar boat. I mean, results go our way even this afternoon against City. We don't concede in the dying embers of the game, and the same thing against Forest. Yeah, we and I mean we should have probably shipped about 7 against Palace, but we lost that 1-0, and we get one chance, and I mean, yeah, we could easily be on 3 points and not 0, but it's so frustrating in this league. So moving on, how's Everton's summer been? Are you happy with it so far? Are you yearning for more players to come through the door? Is the last week of the transfer window going to be key for Everton in their fight for survival again?
Um, the players that have been brought in generally fairly well received. We know we've got a limited budget. There's a lot of off the field issues in terms of finances. I don't really want to bore people with the ins and outs of that, but there's a lot going on. There's a lot of unrest and a disconnect between fans and board. The chairman, who we believe should not still be there, is still hanging on by his fingernails. There was money due to come in from MSP Capital. Hasn't happened. That broke down this week. However, they have given £100 million loan towards the stadium. But with them not coming in, it meant the chairman hangs on it yet again. The board is a temporary board still. So there's a lot of issues behind the scenes. However, the deals that have been done generally okay. Ashley Young on a free transfer was all right, but I think he struggled, especially the last 2 games. We haven't seen, obviously, Jack Harrison yet. He signed injured from Leeds on loan. Good signing, though. I think he'll bring a lot to our side. Youssef Chimiti, saw him for the first time yesterday. 19-year-old striker from Sporting. Looked lively, looked a decent player, but again, young at 19 years of age. So, looking at that, Harrison, Chimiti, Young, it's, and obviously Danjuma, the player who should have signed in January, and we got him over the line this time on loan from Villarreal. Generally okay, but we're still lacking. We're still lacking quite severely, I think, in certain areas. Centre half, I think we're short. I think that what comes after Tarkowski and Branthwaite is poor in Michael Keane and Ben Godfrey. So I'd be looking to get another centre half in this week. We were just saying before we started recording, the striker from Udinese, Beto, Portuguese striker, over having his medical as we speak. So he should be announced, all being well, fingers crossed, in the next day or so. Will be in the squad for Saturday, I assume, and he'll make a big difference. 6'4", he's a big lad, doesn't mind running with the ball, got a bit of pace, he's big, he's strong, he's physical, good in the air. All his goals are in and around the sort of 6 yard box. So he's going to be one. I think that, given the injury issues we've got with Dominic Calvert-Lewin and have had for the last couple of years, we have to bring in a striker that not only can play second fiddle if Calvert-Lewin is injured, but can push Calvert-Lewin and potentially become the number one striker. That's what we need to happen. And this fella at 25 years of age on a 4 or 5 year deal is exactly that. So he should be done this week. But we need, again, a right winger. There's a lack of balance. Damari Gray is on the verge of signing for a side over in Saudi Arabia. We've got a lot of left wingers and not many right wingers. But also a lot of injuries as well. Injuries to our best players in Dwight McNeil, Calvert-Lewin, Alex Iwobi, Seamus Coleman. A lot of these players who would make this side better currently out injured, and I think that includes Jack Harrison, who we signed injured as well. So the summer's been okay, I think, in terms of who's been brought in. But we're yet to sort of see any kind of benefit because we've got so many injuries, and it's very much a case of square pegs, round holes, and just fitting players in to just put out a competitive 11. James Garner's playing right wing; he's not a right winger. That's the biggest one, really. We've seen the likes of Lewis Dobbins had to come in. The young kid, Dan Juma, obviously likes to play left. He's swapping between central striker and left. Yes, it doesn't really work. So there's a lot of issues there, but hopefully come Saturday, we should have another couple, 2 or 3 through the door, and the squad should look a little bit better and make for a better spectacle as an Everton fan, is what I'd probably say.
Yeah, God, you're naming all those players off, and it's like, man, we got another tough one coming up. Man, we're gonna be up against it again. I mean, but that's the rigors of this league. We all know that. So leading up to Saturday's matchup, I guess you can give me 2 or 3 players that would be the ones to watch for United fans when they're looking to do a little bit of scouting report for Everton. So who's the playmakers we need to keep an eye on?
Playmakers is probably not the right word for what we've got to offer at this moment in time, to be honest. As I say, the likes of Iwobi and McNeil are the 2 real providers who will both be missing, I would say this weekend. I think Danjuma has looked very lively, the more I've seen him. So he's certainly one to watch, and it'll be interesting to see what the manager does with the striker situation. Will he give Youssef Chermiti a start? Maybe, but I expect him to probably get the nod against Doncaster midweek in the League Cup. If Beto comes in, if he signs and if he's fit, don't be surprised to see him start the game. And obviously, we'll all be excited to see what he can do. But I think generally, people have been given a little bit of stick to Amadou Onana lately. One of our centre midfielders. For me, he's going to have a good season. I think he's taken a year to adapt to English football. He arrived at 20 years of age. He's just turned 22. He's only been here for just over 12 months, and he's a player who has got all the attributes to be a top player in European football. And he's one who, if on his day, he can really control the midfield. But as I said, there's been a bit of disconnect so far this season. But I'd say to sort of look out for him, look out for Danjuma, and whoever the striker might be, whether it's Chermiti or whether it's Beto, one of those 2, I think they're probably the ones to really look out for on Saturday.
Yeah. It's a handful of names, man. It frightens me. It frightens me. All right, so I'm gonna ask you this: is this, albeit the 4th match of the season, is this a relegation 6-pointer here? If either side takes the 3 points, does this put, at least from your Everton point of view, if United were to go and take the 3 points, does this put you guys, does this increase the ramp up the worrying that might start this early in the season?
I think so. I mean, I think already over the last 7 days or so, after losing the first 2 games of the season, there was the word crisis used within the media, not so much within the fan base, but fans obviously have not been too enamoured with the start that we've made, given the fact we spent 2 seasons fighting relegation. So I think if we lose the fourth game on the spin to a side that we see ourselves as potentially going to be fighting, in the bottom area of the table, along with ourselves. By the way, I'm not saying that we're on any kind of pedestal, because we're certainly not. I think that would be quite damning, and I think then, going into an international break, the pressure is just going to really, really build.
Yeah.
And it's not a case, by the way, of calling out the manager and saying, remove the manager so soon into the season, but it certainly ramps up the pressure, given the fact that the immediate game after the international break is Arsenal at home. So, you've got to then look at this game. You've got to look to get 3 points on the board and kickstart the season a little bit. So I think it will certainly bring some pressure. And rightly so. Everton shouldn't be starting the season with four defeats on the spin. I think personally we should have won 2 out of 3 games. We certainly did enough to win both our home games. And if we're sitting on 6 points, then this conversation doesn't happen, in terms of the pressure and is it going to be a crisis? And, we wouldn't be too concerned in terms of if we lost the game on Saturday, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But where we are now with 0 points, 0 goals, we need to kickstart our season, and there's no better way than getting 3 points against a side that we feel that are going to be potentially fighting for the spots that we're going to be fighting for over the course of this season.
Yeah. So that leads me into my next question. Okay, Saturday lunchtime. Give me how you think this one goes. Give me score predictions. You can say Everton batter us 5-0, 7-0. Hey, I'm all here for it. I mean, I'm as honest as you. I think we suck a bag of ass at the moment, and we're not anywhere near it. So go on, give me your score prediction and tell me how you think the match is going to go.
I mean, I saw your game today against Man City, and obviously, sides will raise the game against the better sides, and of course, with it being the first time the champions have come to Bramall Lane for quite a number of years in terms of Premier League champions, I understand why Sheffield United played the way they did. Obviously, City have a lot of the ball, have a lot of chances. That's Manchester City, but the chances that you had yourselves, outside of the goal. They especially even after conceding the second goal, you still pushed them. I think, if any Everton fan thought that going to Bramall Lane on Saturday was going to be a semi-walk in the park, he needs to watch what happened today, and we've got to be very, very careful. I think, it's got all the makings of being a tight game, with neither side probably wanting to lose, to be honest with you. But we recorded our podcast this morning, and I just think something's going to click over the course of this week. Maybe I'm hoping something's going to click, but I think something will click. And I think when it does, Everton will then start to put a little bit of a run together, because I think the quality that we've got currently injured, the quality that potentially we've got coming through the door, I think the squad will look a lot better in 2 or 3 weeks' time as well, when players start to return. But I think that we can certainly go there and win the game. And, we've got to take a lot from those first 2 home games of this season where we should have really won. But I'm going to say, and I might surprise people a little bit this in terms of the number of goals, I'm going to say Everton 3-1, to be honest with you. And I'm hopeful. I want to see a goal. That's my first hope. If I see a goal, I'll be quite happy. That'll make a real change. But I think we can go there. If we get in front, it's massive. We've got to score the first goal. It's so important in any game. But I think for us, the way that we play, if we score the first goal, it gives us a little bit of belief, gives us something to hold on to, opens the game up, and then creates more space for us to go on and then hopefully score a couple more as well.
Yeah. I think it's a lower scoreline. I think as you mentioned, this game has a feeling that both teams don't want to lose. And I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw. I think we might get one the start of the game, probably about 25, 30 minutes in, and then you guys will get better into the game, and then you get one right out of the second half, start of the second half, and I think it just finishes like that. I think right now we're almost, I wouldn't say mirror images of each other, but almost in the similar boat with, like you alluded to, with the injuries and needing to get more players in. We just had Cameron Archer come through the door this morning, so that bolsters our attack. I'd still like to see somebody on the left hand that plays on the left-hand side, some left wing back to come in and just change change up that side because frankly our left-hand side is just absolutely awful. But yeah, I think it's fair to say that probably, I mean, it could be 3-1 Everton. But I just think it's 1-1. So I'll ask you this question: full time into the season, where do Everton finish? Is it relegation or is it surviving by the skin of your teeth?
I don't see. It's easy to say after 3 games. I know we've lost 3 games, and there's a little bit of doom and gloom floating around. I can't see us being relegated, but I can't see it. It's not going to be a season where Everton have any kind of mid-table obscurity either, and have a comfortable season. I think anywhere sort of around 14, 15 to be where we find ourselves, maybe a touch lower. I certainly can't deal with another season where we're taking it to the dying embers. And the last couple of games, it's been absolutely no good for anyone's mental health, physical health. It's been an absolute nightmare. So I certainly can't be doing that. It's probably going to be our last full season at Goodison Park. We're just moving to Brownlee-Moore Dock over the next probably 18 months or so. So, we certainly don't want to be playing our last game at Goodison Park in the Championship. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But as I say, I do think that when we start to get players back, Everton will look a much more comfortable and a much more rounded and balanced side than we currently look. There's just a massive unbalance currently because of the fact we've got so many injuries. But I do think, as I say, if we get 2 or 3 through the door this week, that'll certainly lift us. If we can get a win in the cup on Wednesday, just to sort of kickstart the season, we can get a couple of goals just to get a little bit of positivity running through the team and the fan base as well, and make the players believe. Listen, you can go win a game of football. It doesn't matter whether it's in the Premier League or whether it's in the League Cup. It's important to get some momentum. Momentum is key, but I do think, sort of 14, 15, 16 around those positions is probably where I see us this season, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, it's fair to say, like you said, and I've said it in terms of United as well. I mean, the team we're watching right now at the end of the season is going to look nowhere near the team that's playing right now, because obviously we're going to get players back that are injured. January window, do we wholesale sell everybody and just run the kids out there because we got 2 feet back in the Championship? I don't know what happens with United's season going forward. But the last question before we sign off: match day, what is your go-to beverage when you're waiting, either if you're going to Goodison or you're in the pub with your mates? What is your go-to beverage?
Well, I'm really, really boring because I hardly ever touch a drop of alcohol, to be honest with you. So I would normally turn up if I go to Goodison Park. I would normally turn up in the fan zone, get a pie, get either a bottle of water or a nice latte coffee. So I tend to go for a coffee. If I was to have a drink, if I was that way inclined, very now and again I'll have a drink, but I don't mind a little bit of a Disaronno and Coke, a little bit of a short, as opposed to having lager and pints of Guinness and things like that. I'm more of a bit of a sweet short drink for me, and that's lovely. That's lovely, especially when you in the summer, in those first few games of the season, when the season's just kicked off. It's not a bad way to start the day off, to be honest.
Yeah, that's not bad. It's crazy hearing all the opposition. They're different choices. That's the first one I've heard of since I've been doing this. But anyway, Mike, thank you for coming out and doing this podcast. Tell the people where they can follow you on social medias and give the plug for the pod.
Well, we're all across all social media channels. Obviously, Facebook, Instagram, Threads now. That's obviously a thing. Well, the main app is Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, at UHT Podcast. Facebook is the Unholy Trinity Podcast, and then Threads and Instagram is at UHT Podcast Everton, off the top of my head. Obviously, the podcast is across all your major podcasting platforms, whether it be Spotify, Apple, Google, all of those. You'll find us. You'll find us on there, of course.
Okay, perfect. We'll have to look out for it. You can follow us, Half of Sheffield, on Twitter or X. Like Mike said, we don't know what the hell it's called nowadays. And then you can follow us on YouTube or subscribe to us on YouTube, Red Half of Sheffield. If you're watching this this video, then I don't know why you haven't subscribed to us. But until Saturday lunchtime kickoff at Bramall Lane, I will leave you with Up the Blades.